Three teachers all went on a road trip to different places for their Thanksgiving break. After 2 days, how many miles did each teacher travel? Go ahead and pause the video to work through it and hit play when you're ready to see how it's done. So as we're working through this one here, I'm going to go ahead and set up diagrams for each of the different teachers here and their travels through on their Thanksgiving break. For this one here, we're trying to figure out what 75% of 120 miles is. In this one, we're trying to find 80% of what 90 miles is. In this one here, we're trying to find 130% of how many 40 miles is. So in this one here, to start us off, in each of these situations, we're trying to find a certain percent of this larger number. Meaning in each of these, this number here is the total number of miles on their trip, meaning that that is 100% for each of them. And we're given the percent that we're trying to find, in this case 75%, in this case 80%, and in this case 130%. So here we've set up a diagram for each of them. Now all we need to do is kind of figure out what goes in these spots here to find our answer here at the bottom left of each of these diagrams. So to start us off with Mr. Atchison here, we need to find a common factor between these two numbers. Whenever we're trying to find a common factor, the first thing we want to look at is, do any of our benchmark percentages help us here? 10%, 20%, 25, or 50. In this case, 25 is a common factor between 100 and 75. So we divide 100 by 4 and multiply 25 by 3. Once we have this path, we can then just do it on the other side of the equation, and that will solve for our answer. So Mr. Atchison traveled 90 miles in 2 days. For Mr. Weiss, we have 100% and 80%. Common factor here that I'm going to use is 10, 100 divided by 10, and then 10 multiplied by 8. Here's our path. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side, divide by 10, which tells us 9 miles is 10%, then multiply by 8 to see that Mr. Weiss traveled 72 miles in 2 days. Lastly, for me here, 100% to 130%, a common factor. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use 10% here because they both end in zeros, so divide by 10, then multiply by 13. Dividing by 10 here on this side gives us 4. Multiply that by 13. So in each of these here, we have 90 miles for what 75% of 120 is. 72 miles is 80% of 90 miles. And 52 miles is 130% of 40.